I don't know where to begin. Just, hey, Lee, now I got a flash drive.
You do? Okay.
All
right, I will know that's recording. One of the things we're doing this year, guys, is we are recording our workshop. So if you have a friend who maybe could make it, out on our YouTube channel, Tulsa Business Career Center, CNCR. But you can go out there. So last week we did personal branding. So you got there and look at that video. I have some handshake videos out there. Keep in mind, I am an accountant by degree, so my video quality is nowhere near that of a professional person, but it gives you the gist, right? So, and then, okay. Yeah, it doesn't have like the, okay, it doesn't, so we don't have those. So. Okay. And then you need a clicker. Yep.
I'll do whatever.
Okay.
Hey everybody, first of all, let me apologize for being late. I didn't budget my time too well to get over here, and the traffic was for Tulsa. Going crazy. So anyway, good afternoon. Thanks everyone for taking time to come join us, me, you, each other. It's great to be here. I've been on campus a number of times, so I see some familiar faces. Really appreciative to have an opportunity to be back. My name is Brian Kiker. I'm a manager with American Airlines. Specifically, I work in the procurement organization based here in Tulsa. American has a maintenance base here at the Tulsa Airport. And at our maintenance facility, we have about 5,500 employees. Do all levels of maintenance for aircraft, the associated components, the landing gear, the APUs, the various avionics systems, as well as the engines. And it's the engine world in particular that I'm a part of. I manage a procurement team of 12 individuals. And we source all the spare parts and all the specialized services that provide the maintenance and overhaul work for our engine fleet. So today I just want to share with you a little overview. Hey, Tony. Good to see you. I just want to share with you a little overview, a little bit about American, my organization. I'm really excited because Paramita was our intern this past summer, Paramita Doss. She was an intern with my group, spent a little more than 2 months Paramita with us.
It was 10 weeks of internship and amazing opportunity. I would say I was really lucky to get picked for this opportunity, and I learned a lot. So, given a chance, I would request all of you to reach out to him. He's very, very responsive, and make best of your career. It is a good start.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you saying that. Paramita did a fantastic job for us, and I've got some work to do yet. But hey, I'll tell you, like I mentioned, I've been here a couple of times to participate in summits like this or to do an employer showcase. I've gotten to know you, Tommy, and a few others here. And it's a fantastic place to be. I love TU. I love every chance I get to come up here. Through these visits is how I became aware of Paramita's interest in our internship. So as I kind of stumble along in my presentation here, I really just want to emphasize it's about networking. It's about latching on to that individual that comes out here and talks to you. And from there, it's up to you. So I'll talk a little bit about that at the conclusion of my slides, but I really want to, I said emphasize already, I'm sorry to repeat it. You cannot make up for the fact that you have to engage. You have to get out there and connect with the people that take the time to come see you if you're hungry and interested in doing internships, which honestly are going to lead to employment opportunities, okay? So give me a moment here to just kind of cycle through a slide or two, tell you a little about American, a little about my group. And if you haven't already figured it out, I'm a pretty casual dude, so if you want to stop me and ask a question, just stick your hand up and shout, okay? First and foremost, just a little bit about our company. American Airlines is one of the largest carriers in the world, alongside Delta and United. We tend to dominate skies, as I put it. Depends on how you measure an airline. Passenger traffic, meaning the number of people that we in-plane, deplane each day. For us, 120,000 people worldwide. Majority of those people, of course, are here in the United States. Dallas, Texas is our corporate headquarters. In fact, we have a beautiful new facility that just opened this summer. It's located adjacent to DFW Airport. If any of you have ever been there, and it's beautiful. It's home to about 20,000 of our members. Just under about 7,000 flights a day. And that takes into account our regional partner, American Eagle. And that puts us at about 500,000 passengers, customers each day. 55 countries served. There's a couple of countries coming online even now this summer. And in fact, I was just talking to my daughter last night. Tel Aviv, Israel is going to start service next summer. So that's pretty exciting. So each year we open up a few new markets. And that was one we actually just watched a movie recently. It's like, yeah, did you guys fly there? I was like, we don't yet. But next year, I've never been. It sounds fun. So our fleet is around 1,400 aircraft. It's very diverse. Fleet, meaning there's lots of different equipment types. At the moment, we have 16 different types. If I was speaking to you a week ago, it would have been 17, but we just retired the fleet, the MD-80. We typically do aircraft retirements where we take older equipment out of service at the end of the summer. The summer for us runs from Memorial Day to Labor Day. So now that we came through the Labor Day holiday, this is the time when we start to kind of park a few airplanes, tend to those things we couldn't get to in the summer. Frankly, and I'm sure it's obvious to all of you, summertime is our busiest time, and we try to stay away from doing any heavy maintenance or anything, retirement, fleet swap outs in the summertime when we're at our peak from an operations standpoint. So it looks like the font's kind of squirrely on the slide, so I apologize. That's like the old lettering from The Matrix. You know, old enough to see The Matrix. I love that movie. I'm like, I don't even know what it's called, but I hope it saves. It's kind of cool. Anyway, like I mentioned a second ago, I'm in the supply chain organization. It's pretty diverse, a lot of different groups in the supply chain. Specifically, the group that I'm with is called procurement. So I've broken it down here to kind of give you a feel of the two sides of procurement. The engine piece, my group, I mentioned we have a dozen of us here in Tulsa. We have about 25 colleagues in Dallas. I mentioned earlier, 1,400 aircraft, about 2,500 engines in our airline. We look after all the maintenance, all the spares, all the long-range planning, the retirement of equipment, the purchase of equipment. It's a pretty broad spectrum. We have colleagues on the aircraft side, of course. We simply refer to them as aircraft or airframe programs. They deal with all the likewise maintenance, a lot of the interior modifications. If we're going to put in new seats or upgrade the electronics equipment, or we're going to go out and buy a whole new fleet of aircraft. Within our organization, also known as power plant programs, we're divided up into three teams essentially. Third party, these are the companies outside of American Airlines that do the maintenance for us. So some of you might be mechanics and you work on your car yourself, and then some of you may not be mechanics and you send your car somewhere else to be worked on. Think about it if you own an airplane. Are you going to work on that airplane yourself? Or are you going to take that airplane somewhere else and have somebody else do it for you? We actually do both. When it comes to doing that maintenance in-house, that's the facility here in Tulsa where I'm located. There are a number of other aircraft and engines and so on that we do not work in-house, and we send those out to third parties. That's the third party MRO group. Asset management, this is all the planning. This is where all the financial analysis is done. This is all the decisions around what aircraft we're going to purchase or park, what engine maintenance we're going to do, and so on. And then, of course, the in-house engines, that's our team. I mentioned earlier, we're responsible for all the spare parts, all the specialized services to overhaul those engines when they're taken down to the piece part level. I said it once already, it's our team. Here's a little description of each as I'm rambling along. I said third-party MRO, asset management, forecasting, the financial analysis, and so on, and then our in-house engine. You think about this engine right here. Here's a cutaway of a CFM56 engine. This happens to be the engine on the 737 airplane. It's a smaller airplane. If you're ever flown from here to Dallas or New York or Chicago, it tends to fly in that 1.5, 2-hour route. It's just a cutaway here so you can get kind of an image of what all's inside. And Paramedic can tell you about this. I bored her to tears with walks through the engine shop to show her this is a fan blade, this is a fan case. this is an LPT shaft. Let's go talk about this because it costs a lot of money. It's a very specialized piece of equipment, and we have to go out and buy a new one. So that's kind of a big deal. Any questions? I'm the one doing all the talking. Anybody out there? No. Okay. Get to the intern goal. Okay. Here's a little breakdown of those responsibilities within our team. Our group is primarily focused on these 3 areas up here. Certainly the performance of our suppliers, the people we buy the parts from, the people we send the parts to for overhaul. How are they performing? Do we need to negotiate and institute any long-term agreements? Do we need to perform any financial analysis to support a long-term contract? Market intelligence is a part of that. Who are all the people we have to choose from? Who are all the companies that specialize in this? When it comes to doing maintenance on specialized equipment, this is not unique to aviation. I used to work in the oil business. It's very similar over there. The truth is there's very limited amount of companies that can provide you those parts and those services. It's the responsibility of the procurement organization to have that market awareness, to be engaged with those companies, to provide them RFPs, evaluate their responses, negotiate those agreements. This kind of leads into what we call strategic sourcing. If you're doing a sourcing event, I mentioned earlier about buying a fleet of equipment or putting that equipment under a 20-year contract, obviously that's a very good strategy. It's going to be measured in the hundreds of millions of dollars of annual spend. So you want to have a very good plan, a very good strategy around how you're going to go about that. All right, so here's where we're here, right? So give me kind of a feel. I know Paramita's working on her master's degree. Is everybody in here an undergrad? Some head nods. Any graduate students? You're shaking your head. You're a grad student? What are you doing? Oh, okay. I know about that. Any other masters? What about you? You're doing analytics also too?
Yeah.
Cool. We have a big need for that. I mean, Paramita, I can hope share with you some of the specifics. She did a few projects for us that were really cool. We're now using those projects and results of her work there. A lot of analysis goes into these sourcing programs, for example. A lot of analysis is applied when we're evaluating how our suppliers are performing, how much money we're spending. I'll give you kind of a feel. The supply chain that I managed that Paramita was part of this summer is about a $300 million annual budget. So obviously the company expects us to know what we're doing when they empower us to manage $300 million. A little bit about the internship itself. At the outset, I said that I became aware of Paramita's interest in a few of her classmates in our internship through days like this, as well as the employer showcase that Tanya and Leonel have invited me to. Said it once, I'll say it again. Make sure if you have an interest in doing an internship, doesn't have to be with us obviously, make it a point. Commit to attending those sessions as best you can. If you can't be there, work with your career services organization. Not just because they're in the room, but these are two of the best I've ever met. I've got to work with Arkansas, Oklahoma State, Texas, and I mean it. This is a fantastic career services group you've got here, so use it to your advantage. Once, I would imagine you would know this, I would hope you know this, but have your resume, of course, have a strong portfolio of the work you've done, not just as a student here or maybe a student somewhere else. Anything and everything is gained, in my opinion. Bring us examples of the work you've done, the teams you've been a part of, and it starts, of course, with a current, updated professional resume. Once again, work with your career services group to have do mock interviews, to do walkthroughs on your resume and get guidance on what makes a good resume. Not too much, not too little, of course. But then you also want to bring along a little bit about yourself, a little bit of your experience. You know, if you're going to work for me for 10 weeks, I want to know more about you than one-page bullet points. I want to see some work you've done. I want to understand how you manage relationships with your peers, with your instructors here at the school, and certainly with those projects you've been assigned. And I know there are a lot of them. So I would expect you have more than enough material to share with the prospective employer. Talk to one another. There's roughly, what, 15 of you in here. I'm sure that several of you have had part-time jobs or internships in some form or fashion. get feedback on what the experience is for your classmates at their internships. Paramita is one of the nicer people I know, so I'm sure she would unload on you everything that we kind of put on her shoulders this summer, and then give you some insight into what kind of goes on if you've not had an internship before. Has anybody in here never had an internship? Okay, so a good example. Get in touch with someone who has. This is no different than when you start working. You're going to get paired up with a veteran or somebody senior in the organization. So that's just kind of the way it is. You're going to have to start learning from them. Peer-to-peer coaching, we call it. I would really encourage you to try to find an employer in a field relevant to your degree plan. I know there's a lot of specialized degrees here at TU. Some people choose oil and gas as a focus. I would encourage you to seek internships with companies that are specialized in that sector. I know TU doesn't have necessarily an aviation focus, but to you choosing to do analytics, for example, and what we have started doing more of, a higher focus on analytics, entirely relevant. But if you're able, try to zero in on those internship opportunities relevant to your degree of studies, or companies that tend to have a focus in that area. If you're in some way, shape, or form in technology and you're able to find your way to working with a tech company, that would be something I would encourage you to do, okay? So I'm up here just saying a lot of obvious stuff, I'm sure, but are there any questions I can entertain? Okay, thank you. Kind of wrap it up here in a second, okay? I want to tell you a little about American. I'm lucky to get to go out and visit college campuses and participate in recruiting young people. I'm actually going to be going to the campus of Arizona State in a couple of weeks. And look, the truth of the matter is it's a tight job market. A lot of students have a lot of places to choose to go to work. It's a good problem to have. So I'm out there selling American Airlines. If I'm 20-something years old, maybe a little older, I think it's a pretty cool place to work, especially if you like to travel. Who doesn't like to travel? Come on. So one of the perks of working at American is we have travel privileges, which in the United States, it's on a standby basis, of course. But you can travel anywhere for free. You pay a little bit of tax on that seat. It's no big deal. If you want to go overseas, well, there's very few places we don't go, or we don't have a partner that goes. So it's just a little perk I like to throw out there when you're thinking about where I'd like to go work and what I'd like to do. I hope you stop and think about us. Okay? So, in lieu of passing around business cards to everybody, here's my contact information, okay? So I said it earlier, and I stand behind it. If you want to see a little more about American, where I'm at, you want to just bounce questions off of me later. Sorry, everybody's trying to snap pictures. But my email is up there too. So drop me a note. I can tell you about 6 or 8 of your classmates in the past year have reached out to me. And I've invited them out to where I work and given them a look at where we take that engine apart and show them some of those individual parts I mentioned a minute ago, talk to them a little deeper about some of the work we do. And any and everybody's welcome, okay? So just send me a note. Let me know you're interested and see what we can work out. All right. So about internships. This past summer was our first internship in quite a while. We intend to be doing another internship next summer. Shortly after the holidays is when I'll start screening resumes, if you will. And I'd like to take my time through the springtime, and I know everybody else is busy, especially as it comes up on the end of the semester. But I'd like to have a decision in place somewhere in late April, because our interns typically start shortly after you finish your semester, mid to late May. So for me, I would like to try to be back on campus sometime early in the spring semester, perhaps do an employer showcase, but at the least visit with me and Ellen Tommy, and have them forward me any interested applicants, okay? And from there, it's kind of like applying for a job. We're going to take time to look over your information. We're certainly going to get back to you with the decision, and from there, you're going to have an interview. You're going to come on site. You're going to meet with me and some other people in a little more structured setting, and then we do follow-up interviews as needed until we select a candidate, okay? As Paramita mentioned, it's about an 8 to 10 week commitment. It's Monday to Friday. It's a full-time position, and it is a paid position. Okay. Hey, thanks a lot for being here. So, pretty straightforward. There are some expectations put on our interns. We give you a couple of projects to work on. We typically will assign you a sponsor to mentor you through that project. And at the same time, you're sitting amongst our regular team. We're going to take you to our normal day-to-day meetings. We might even ask you to help out every now and then. So we want you to get a sense of what it's like to actually work with us, as well as to have something that you can call your own, a project that you can totally develop and guide to the end. I want you to have something that you can take with you and show your instructors, show your colleagues, future candidates, I would hope, and something that you can take some pride in. I'll just tell you, we had 3 projects that Paramita did for us, and that was a lot to ask, and she did a fantastic job. At the conclusion of her internship, she had the opportunity to present to our leadership team in Dallas. So I think that was pretty exciting. She did a great job representing TU as good as who we represented. And then going forward, she has something tangible that she can share, hopefully with us, frankly, but wherever she might choose to go, this is what I was working on, okay? It's hers. It's her own. She did it, okay?
I think it's very important, like, as Brian spoke, on the first day when you go, they have plans for you. So you don't have to hunt around to pick a project. So they have certain tasks allocated and you can plan around that, like how you want to, it's your own child. It's like how you want to nurture the whole project and deliver it. So you have that kind of flexibility and you learn a lot. You get to be at all the board meetings and you get to meet with the team and the director of the company. So I think it was a great experience that I could spend doing last summer. Yeah.
Interesting. So,
One question I had,
yes.
since we have quite a few students who haven't had an internship yet, what would you say is probably the first 1 or 2 steps to going out to get any internship? Is it getting that resume in line? Is it coming to the Business Career Center? But kind of what would be that first, maybe going to the Business Career Fair? That first step, that hurdle, because it can be kind of overwhelming. Like, where do I go? Are they looking for me? Are employers looking for me? So what would be one of the first 2 steps?
I would say step 1, you have the Business Career Fairs here. My understanding, I recall, I think I participated in one. We set up a table and passed out some pamphlets and contact information. Absolutely make it a point to get yourself to one of those if you haven't already. That way, I think you have an opportunity to see the options, see what else is out there, right? Today, you're kind of captured, and here you're just going to listen to me talk about where I work, and of course, it's the best. I think that if I'm in your shoes, get to a career fair and kind of see what else is available in the market. 1A, sign up for as many of these as you can, okay? Because one thing about, I'll be candid with you, we're evaluating students, right? We evaluate job applicants, but at the same time, you're evaluating us. And the only way you're going to get a good evaluation is to show up. So you got to show up. And if you don't make it to something like this, you're at a disadvantage to your competition. Because the truth is, you're competing. You're going to put your name out there. If you truly want this, and it's the reason you're going to school in the first place, right? You're competing, and we're going to find out who's best, at least who we think is best, if you will. All right, so I think step 1, utilize the career services that are made available to you here at the school, and then do your best to attend sessions like this. There's a step 2 after 1 and 1A. Reciprocate. Reach back out to the individual or people that came to see you, even if it's just to establish a few emails and just kind of get a feel. Oh, yeah, I like that company. That sounds kind of good. Or that lines up with what I'm studying. Or what else do you guys do? I'm not sure I understood what you were describing there. Even if you just ask a few questions and get some information, it doesn't mean you have to go hang out with them there. And just kind of get some feedback, get some intel. So Did that answer Leonel? I hope that kind of gave us some. I mean, I think you really have to capitalize on what TP is available for you. That's kind of up to you. Yes.
Do you have any restrictions for international students?
We do not. We sponsor visas.
Mm-hmm.
We have very broad representation. All right, so other than the 3 grad students, what's everybody else studying? How about you? You're working on your MBA. 4th grad student. My mistake.
I was like, I'm sorry.
No, it's good. I was
He's a grad student. There's 5 grad students.
5. Good God. So I'm not an accountant. I'm like,
Let's not talk about what I.
all right, so 5 grad students. Everybody else undergrad business majors? No, you're shaking your head. A couple head nods. I got 2 no's here. What are you studying? Engineering, gotcha.
Computer science.
Okay. Engineering?
Computer science.
Computer science. You might be okay. What about the rest?
Petroleum engineering?
Petro? Oh, baby. You know, next to the military, we buy more fuel than anybody. A lot of need. Engineering's fantastic. I don't have to tell you that. I mean, you know it. But, we have speaking of where I'm at, my organization is actually fairly small relative to the engineering team. We have a lot of mechanical and other people at the base too. So that's another thing I would advocate. If you get introduced to somebody as a company and maybe it doesn't align or fit with what you want to do or what you're studying, doesn't mean there's not more going on at that company, right? So, hey, Brian, supply chain isn't my thing, but if you put me in touch with the engineering manager, would that be cool? Absolutely. Kimberly Minton's her name. She's a TV crap, by the way. So that's part of the networking I'm talking about. We're going to have to pick up some names and be bold and stepping out there and get in touch with people. You got a question?
No, you're not.
Okay. I'll put you in the spot.
So what did you study?
Aviation science. I actually went to Oklahoma State. They have a small group at a flight school. So my interest was in being a pilot. So I went through OSU's flight program, came out, got a job at American, didn't have what it took to necessarily become a pilot. This was 1996. And American's an enormous company, and you can find your way to a lot of different organizations and places if you like. So I started out in maintenance. I was a junior mechanic and worked on aircraft for a little while and kind of did a few other things and landed in supply chain about 12 years ago. And I'm teaching a class in logistics and supply chain at Oklahoma State this fall, if anybody's interested. After today, nobody probably want to go, but hey. I like supply chain. I'll just kind of selfishly share with you. Maintenance was great. I'm an airplane nut. I wanted to be a pilot. I like being around the aircraft. I'm just kind of fascinated and love with travel and just the whole thing. But after working on planes for a while, I kind of got bored. And I had an opportunity to do supply chain, which, you know, move into the sourcing of the parts to support the maintenance operation. I thought this is pretty cool. You got a little bit of business, you got a little bit of technical. I got to move around. I get to travel quite a bit. I get to work with a lot of companies outside of American. Just for our small team focused in the engine world, we have about 50 suppliers active. We have over 100 suppliers qualified. So we get to interact and represent American and maintain and manage and cultivate the relationship with all of those different suppliers. They're incredibly important to what we do. So I kind of like that. I got a little bit of the technical itch from when I began, a little bit of the more people, nuanced, softer skills of working with companies outside of America. So for me, I kind of enjoy it. One of the other things, I'm sure many of you are going to work for really big, really impressive companies. They're so massive. I know Leonel used to work at Conoco. There's so many different organizations. I think I said it once already. you can kind of just build an experience and build a network. And it's not your thing in electrical engineering, and you want to go challenge yourself or do something else and do analytics or forecasting, supply chain. You can do that. It's really exciting. At least for somebody with attention span problems like me, it's exciting. So, yeah.
So if we did want to do supply chain, are you guys like specific on what majors you hire?
Specific on what? I'm sorry.
Specific on like what majors you hire?
Depends on the group. Some groups are actively recruiting graduates that have degrees in supply chain. It's fairly, in my experience, a pretty small number of schools do that. In fact, I said a little bit ago, I'll be at Arizona State. They offer a bachelor's degree in supply chain management. And that's the reason we're going there. We have a need to go after people with that major. But no, I mean, I think we're by and large open-minded. We do a lot of MBA recruiting. University of Texas, Texas Christian, are two schools at the moment where we get a lot of our MBAs. That's because of their proximity and involvement with our corporate headquarters being in Dallas. So I think it's kind of open. I've enjoyed getting to know you guys here at TU because you have the analytics, you have the MBAs, you've got the engineering. So I think it just kind of depends.
Are there any specific like programs or software that you guys use for your department that you say maybe to learn or something?
Good question. We have, the backbone system we use is actually developed in-house years ago. And it manages all of our inventory control. All of our vendor information is captured in this. It's called APIX, not that it would matter. But APIX provides all of our vendor information, all of our purchase order and repair order information, so that when we send a widget out to a company, we overhaul and we buy a widget from a company. Of course, there's paperwork that records that transaction. That's all in that system. We're evolving. We're using third-party systems such as Arrow Exchange, which is a major supply chain platform. It does everything from beginning to end with respect to how you manage your supply chain, buy materials, qualify suppliers, invoicing, payment, all that stuff. That's a company all of its own. They're different than Microsoft. Another one, Paramita worked in heavily for us this summer, Tableau. So we've really, in the past year, taken off with Tableau and all of its visualization capability. So it's really cool. We have teams of people now that specialize in that. There's some other programming. Paramita, you talked to Raul and some other people. I remember you talked to Encore about Python.
Yes. So majorly they're focusing on softwares. I mean, the analytics teams are focusing on R, Python, and JavaScript, like as much as you can learn is good. And this programming skills are pretty much transferable. So if you're good in one language, you can pretty much explore other softwares as well. So.
We do a lot with, when it comes to Tableau, the data, we extract it from APIX and other foundational systems, typically in Excel, and then we rely on our programmers to manipulate, present the data in Tableau or some other dashboard presentation format, because it has to be shared with a pretty good audience. But the stuff we've done in Tableau recently, and in particular the stuff that Paramita did for us, is really cool. I mean, I could take a second or two to find it on my phone and just show you, because this morning, Paramita, being a Monday, the system that we update, I mean Paramita, the system spits out a auto-generated email that shows me and others a real quick snapshot. Here's what's current year to date on our supply chain for the Tulsa engine shop. $120 million. Here's all your vendor activity. It's got some real handy, quick visual tools like color coding or real simplified charts, and I can get a quick feel right on my phone and maybe in my laptop in a meeting. Here's what's going on with our supply chain. And if I want to drill down and focus on, this supplier right here is got me concerned. We have a lot of material out of their shop right now, and we're kind of running behind, or maybe we're over budget. What's the story there? And I can drill down into that quick efficiency that I did not previously have. So that's something that's just spoils you once you got it, right? It's like having the apps on your phone. It's like, man, how do I live without that? Although I'm about ready to get my phone back. Anyway, so what do you think? Hurricanes gonna beat the Cowboys this Saturday. I'll be there. I got tickets. I can't wait. Glad to see. Love it. What else? I'll be sure to get out of here. So, employer showcase. Is that coming up soon? What's the? I apologize. I can't recall the dates.
You're talking about,
I'm coming in for the lunch. No, I'll bring some sandwiches.
Yeah.
You need to work that out? Okay. So, outside of, questions or things specific to the actual internship itself, just send me a note if there's something else you kind of like to hear about. When I come in for the employer showcase, we'll take about an hour. Of course, I bore you with some slides, but I do like to take the opportunity to brag on America. I've been there for over 20 years, and it's been good to be with my family, so I'm going to put it right back in your face. I mean, it's a great place to work, and it's a lot of fun. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the company, tell you a little more about our work, of course, and bring you a sandwich from the nearby sandwich shop that's pretty tasty. And at that time, maybe connect with you and see about your interest in coming to work for us as an intern next summer, okay? Sound good? Silence denotes acceptance. All right. Listen, thank you everybody for taking time to come be in here today. Thanks for being out here and Tony welcoming me back. I appreciate it. And anything I can do, I hope you grab my phone number and my email from up there, all right? Give me a shout.
thank you, Brian.
Yeah.
We also kind of put out a survey. If you all don't mind, go ahead and plug in your phones and using your Snapchat or QR code reader to take our survey. And upon that, I am going to enter you all into a drawing here. I'm going to give away a business card holder and a portfolio.
Thanks to the career fair.
That's right.
Which is when?
Business Government Nonprofit is December 19th.
Not too late. Everybody done?
Yeah, so.
When is the buy something? I'll read it from it, but
everyone's on suppliers. There's a lot of different ways. There's no single answer. But the suppliers are really good. We're lucky. We're a big company. And a lot of people will come to us. In fact, it's not uncommon for us to have to interview or reject some suppliers who wish to, with us. But we attend a lot of different conferences. We're members of various organizations that provide like holiness. You know what I mean? Like people get to when you say like, I need somebody that does family and people will identify in that system.
That makes it happen.
So even if they're not approved and working.
Ready, Connie?
Do a service like that. A lot of technology.